Have you ever noticed that when you're in an airport planning to go away somewhere nice and enjoy yourself, everyone seems so chaotic and stressed out and a little bit overwhelmed with what's happening? And it's pretty normal because as humans, we have certain expectations and we want a sense of control about what's going to happen. And so this is what I wanted to talk about today, and how we can let go of unrealistic expectations, but then identify the expectations that maybe should be there to help us in our lives. You see, expectations are kind of like a double-edged sword in a way. On one hand, expectations can motivate us, they can create drive and move us forwards to where we want to go. And then on the other hand, they can cause us stress, overwhelm, anxiety, and put us in an uncomfortable feeling place. So it's about balancing the two and finding what expectations are unrealistic. If we go back to the airport example real quick, I have a story to share with you. So last year when I went home to England to visit my family, the airport was absolutely chaotic. There was issues with members of staff and the people were missing their planes left, right, and center. And you could just feel the energy in the airport. You could feel the stress, you could feel the tension. And understandably, people had holidays booked. They wanted to spend good time with their friends, their families, their loved ones. And this situation that was supposed to be good, the expectation was, I'm going away, I'm going to have a great time. All of a sudden, kind of gets a little bit shaky with what's going on. And I sort of realized as I was observing other people that this whole thing with self-development and self-improvement is about situations like this that are actually real in our life. It's when stuff is a little bit rocky, it gets a little bit shaky. How do we deal in those situations? How do we deal under pressure? And it doesn't mean we have to put it all to one side and ignore it and pretend that we don't feel how we feel. But it's a great lesson that when we're taking the self-development stuff, how we can actually apply it into our lives. The negative impact of unrealistic expectations is something that I believe we should really take seriously, because it's going to impact how we feel emotionally, mentally, physically, our energy. And another thing which I can resonate with massively myself, and maybe you can relate, is a few years back when I was traveling in California, I remember checking my phone one day and I saw that Abraham Hicks was doing a live workshop the next day. So I just thought, I have to go to this. Unfortunately, I was able to be picked to go up onto the hot seat and ask a question. And it was around the idea of things in the future seem so far away and you can get excited for them. But when it gets to the moment, you're still looking forward to what's next, what's coming ahead. So you can kind of have some kind of expectation and sense of control. But one of the problems with this is it stops you from being present, and the present moment is all you ever have. But if we're so focused on the future, or we keep looking back in the past and we're not present, then all of these fears, worries, anxieties, and things that aren't happening right here, right now, can be having a massive impact on our lives. Tony Robbins always says, trade your expectations for appreciation and your world will change instantly. So I'm just curious, where in your life do you feel like you have unrealistic expectations? And what opportunities do you have for growth? Maybe this is some time for you to reflect and to identify that to move forwards. There's probably some specific moments in your life, maybe when you were a kid and you got so excited that something was going to happen. Maybe it was on your birthday party or around Christmas time or some other family event, or there was a holiday planned and all of a sudden something happened and it didn't go to plan. And you had this massive expectation. You had all this joy and this excitement and anticipation for what was going to happen. And then the reality is it didn't match what was in here. And so that leads to massive disappointment and not feeling in a good way. And obviously some of these things happen naturally in life. We can't control every situation, and it's okay to have some expectations, but it's also very important to identify what are the unrealistic expectations and what do we want to get rid of. So moving past these unrealistic expectations is a process. It takes a little bit of time. And there's some steps that we'll go over now that can help you move forwards with this. So the first one is really identifying what those expectations are. It's just observing them, bringing awareness to what is. Maybe there are certain triggers in your life that will influence this, but just simply bring awareness to it. Once you have the awareness of it, then we can evaluate the expectations. This is where you want to go a little bit deeper. You want to identify, is this expectation I have unrealistic? Or is this something that can be used for growth? Is this a positive expectation? You know, in certain friendships and relationships, there's going to be some expectations which should be there. You expect mutual respect from someone else. So it's about identifying what are the unrealistic expectations and then being able to let go of them. And some of this comes around by practicing mindfulness, so simply observing without judgment and identifying what's happening for you, the thoughts and the feeling, and just bring awareness to the day to day. And then we want to embrace the present moment. So we've already said, not being too focused on the future, not being too far on the back. Now talking to the present moment, if I go back to the Abraham Hicks question that I had, which I was struggling with, the answer that Abraham Hicks gave me was to simply focus in the present moment on what feels good. So don't worry too much out there. Don't worry too much about the past, but what feels good in this moment. And on top of that, you want to be kind to yourself. So sometimes the expectations we have can be for ourselves, it can be on others. But when there's too many unrealistic expectations, it's going to cause us to feel certain emotions, not feel great about ourselves. We're going to belittle ourselves. You're going to have that negative self-talk, that inner critic. You're going to have the negative self-talk towards other people. There's this expectation that isn't met. And so we need to be kinder to ourselves. And also this applies to other people. And then lastly, we want to let go of the need to feel in control. This is really hard because it's in us as humans. We want to have that sense of control. And I'm not talking about toxic control or controlling other people. I'm talking about having a sense of control in your life. Recently, I was speaking to some of my clients, and this was a topic that came up multiple times with different clients on this sense of control and not feeling in control, and when stuff's going wrong and they feel overwhelmed. And if you can relate to this and maybe you feel a little bit overwhelmed, then you need to watch this video here where I show you a simple process to how you can let go of that stuff and feel more in control of your life. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.